You're probably wondering what on earth today's video is about. You'll have seen in the news many stories about various lawsuits to do with the use of words which are subject to copyright and trademark laws, most of which are absolutely absurd. Well, today's video is no different because we're going to be talking about a copyrighted or trademarked word which people have been suing for, and again, is absolutely absurd. Hello! Welcome to Brain Spill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and today we're talking about an American game development company called Edge Games Inc. Or so they say they're a game development company. When I was doing the research for this video, I did what any good researcher did and went straight to the Wikipedia page. And well, if you go on the Wikipedia page for Edge Games Inc., you'll see that the company has a history section which is 4 sentences long. And then an entire section on the trademark disputes this company has been involved with. I mean, if the trademark disputes your company's been involved with outshines the entire rest of the history of the company, that sort of speaks for itself, doesn't it? 4 sentences. 4 bloody sentences, that's all there is on the history. So if you ever wanted to learn slimy business practices, you've come to the right place, people. The company was founded in California in 1990 by an individual called Tim Langdell. Most names of people quoted in these videos may as well go by the wayside, but this one's going to be quite memorable because he's a rather central figure to the reputation this company has. Just for some context, this well-known developer and publisher has been in the business for over 30 years and their catalogue is extensive, with such smash hits like Bobby Bearing, or some shit Garfield game for the Atari ST and Commodore 64. Look, to be perfectly honest, I went on their website to see if I could have a full list of the games that they've worked on, and the page where it talks about their back catalogue simply says, "Page coming shortly, please check back." So yeah, there wasn't really much more for me to say there. Although there was one pretty interesting thing I saw at the bottom of the page, which reads as follows. Edge trademark, The Edge trademark, Edge Games trademark. Copyright 2011. Bobby Bearing, Edge, The Edge, Edge Games, Edge Gamers are trademarks of the Edge/The Edge. Copyright 1986, 2003, 2011. Trademarks belong to their respective owners, all rights reserved. This is going to be quite important a little bit later on and a little bit of foreshadowing as to what this whole story is about. Anyway, you're probably wondering what all of this has to do with the title of the video. Well, this company is notorious for the various trademark disputes it manages to get itself into over one particular word. And if that word isn't abundantly clear at this point, it's the word edge. Yes, this company is renowned, but more so its owner Tim Langdell being known for the many lawsuits they've been involved with. The reason, like I said, is the fact that the word edge is subject to trademark. Yes, the word edge, which is a normal word that's in the dictionary used in everyday language. If anyone decides to use this word, this company are pretty litigious when it comes to protecting their copyright. So, what does this all mean? What is the significance that a single entity owns the trademark to a certain word? This gives the owner exclusive rights to connect a brand with the trademarked word, phrase, slogan, mascot, logo, etc., etc. The Nike swoosh to identify a brand via logo is a trademark, or the slogan of a company such as McDonald's, "I'm loving it," which is also recognised as a trademark. Meaning that if the slogan for Brain Spill was "I'm loving it," you can be sure that there'll be about 50 lawyers from McDonald's on their way to my house right now. And it's the same thing here. The word edge is trademarked by the Edge company, and that's why this company are pretty particular about holding on to their trademarked rights over the word. And I know that trademark is not the same as copyright, but clickbait titles work pretty well. If a company owns the trademark to something in totally not legal advice, just reading stuff on the internet, trademark fundamentally relies on brand recognition and reputation. If, for example, you own the trademark to the phrase, "You should subscribe to this amazing YouTube channel," I could register the trademark on that phrase. But the risk is protecting that trademark. The real risk here is that if a company decides to pick and choose who they sue over using their trademarked material, then whoever's getting sued can basically just say, well, You didn't sue that person, so why are you suing me? If they aren't consistent in their rigorous protection of their trademark, it can really go against them, and at the end of the day, it could almost nullify your trademark. Which is why in the news you do sometimes see some absolutely ridiculous lawsuits happening, but it's all intended to ensure that somebody's trademark and their legal rights around it can be maintained. One example which was on the news, which I thought was mind-boggling at the time, was the time where Disney decided to sue a local nursery for the use of imagery of their characters on the walls. This is not so much to target the nursery themselves, but if they allowed this to slide, this can cause massive legal problems for Disney in the future. If they needed to defend their trademark in another case, and they made exceptions in this matter, this could be seen as a form of forfeiture. It's really one of those things that on the outside doesn't sound very fair, but it's just the way it is, and you have to make sure that you take the steps to protect your trademark. The real problem that arises with something like this is if somebody is using your trademarked thing to profit off, which, to be perfectly honest, I'd be pretty pissed off if someone was doing the same thing to me, although I don't know why anyone would, want to copy me. And well, this is really what Edge Games relied on when they decided to take their lawsuit rampage out on the games industry. Pretty much anyone that used the word Edge in some way, at the very least got a very angry letter from Edge Games Inc. Just to throw out a few notable examples was when they decided to bring a lawsuit against Namco and their UK division for the use of their trademark and the word Edge in the title of their game Soul Edge, the fighter arcade game. The use of Edge in the title was apparently too similar to the word Edge for the company and decided to take legal action as a result. And the outcome of this was that Edge Games pretty much failed disastrously on all accounts, which is pretty funny. Effectively, the Intellectual Property Office said that there was no brand confusion, meaning there was no claim to be made. But to be perfectly honest with you, if the problem was that there's going to be some confusion over brand recognition, the only reason anybody knows about this company is that they sue the living shit out of everyone who uses the word Edge. So no wonder it got thrown out. Namco did start using the name Soul Blade for the PlayStation version of the game in the US and Europe to avoid any confusion, but with all future games, the game was actually changed to the name Soul Calibur for all future iterations of the game. And it was pretty much down to this lawsuit why the game is now called Soul Calibur and not Soul Edge. So overall, this trademark dispute didn't have a massive impact on the games or the company itself. However, this isn't the only time that Tim Langdell has decided to pull a stunt like this. Him and his company decided to take legal action against EA for their upcoming release in 2008 of the game Mirror's Edge. Yes, for the word Edge in the title, very similar to the previous example. Either he felt incredibly intimidated by the use of the word Edge, or he just saw an easy payday. Either way. And well, quite frank with what happened next, he might have bitten off a little bit more than he could chew. EA actually resorted to petitioning to the United States Patent and Trademark Office to cancel many registrations made by Edge Games, stating that these were done fraudulently. Tim Langdell responded in the ever so professional way and said the following about the application. This petition by EA is clearly a desperate attempt by EA to see if they can win the right to use Mirror's Edge by forcibly removing Edge's legitimate rights to Edge. And this attempt will fail. The reality here is that EA tried every legal angle they could think of to argue that their use of Mirror's Edge was not an infringement of Edge's rights in Edge, the Edge, and Edge's family of registered Edge trademarks. Just reading this quote just sounds absolutely ridiculous. Once EA lost the argument that Mirror's Edge is not distinct from Edge, their only hope was to try and argue that Edge does not really own its nearly 30-year-old trademarks. Hence this last desperate attempt by EA via this petition. It's funny how you can twist words around to make it sound like you're the one in the wrong here, but he decided to stick through with it anyway. And yes, Tim Langdell was adamant EA were the ones in the wrong and decided to go through with his defense of this trademark dispute. Prior to filing their petition, EA voluntarily abandoned their application for the Mirror's Edge mark on the 8th of September 2009, where only a year later, Langdell decided to sue EA over Mirror's Edge, which, to be fair, for them to apply for the trademark to be cancelled beforehand, they must have seen this coming. If you're confused about all of this, don't worry, I am too. So in retaliation, EA decided to countersue Edge Games, effectively trying to get their trademarks cancelled. However, instead of simply going to the patent office, they decided to take a full-blown lawsuit against them. Like they said before, they were going to argue that this was all obtained fraudulently, and this was going to be the main pillar of their argument against Edge Games. And the really strange thing about this whole thing is, I think for the first time in history, this is the first time that something's happened in the public eye where the public has actually backed up EA. I mean, EA are normally the company that are the root of all evil and are literally the devil. But in this particular case, I think people were quite eager for EA to actually show this guy and this company a thing or two. Anyway, EA in the end won their countersuit, and the judgment said the following. The court has denied Edge Games' motion for injunction, citing that it believes that Langdell made fraudulent statements to the US Patent and Trademark Office, and strongly believes that Langdell is suspect and has been trolling the game industry for licensing opportunities. His actions could possibly warrant criminal penalties. Trolling, that is pretty much what this sounds like, and I don't blame them, because when I first looked at this, you can just tell that this is pretty much what I think a lot of people thought with the reason why this company was registering all these trademarks in the first place. I'm not entirely sure what the outcome of all of this was, as this was about 10 years ago that this suit happened, and since then there hasn't really been much in the news about Tim Langdell. But the key thing here is that this is a major victory for the video games industry and many game developers out there, in particular many small independent companies. People that have been hit really, really hard by these trademark squatters. Them cheeky bastards. If you like the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you've got any ideas for what topics you'd like me to discuss next, let me know down in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. Knowing the outcome of this lawsuit, I'm almost tempted just to change the channel name to Edge Spill or something like that, just to see if old Langdell will come for the channel. Who knows? See you guys in the next video. Fantastic.